We've got Deep Space Nine Boys Club. I don't know how we ended up with all guys on this panel, but in no particular order, let's bring out our fabulous guests. Let's welcome Andy Robinson, Garak, Armin Shimerman, Lofton, Sisko, of course, Rene, Auberjonois, Before we get started with these fine gentlemen, I want to thank our wonderful cosplay brigade up here on stage that's been greeting all of our guests all weekend. Let's give them a nice round of applause. Thank you guys. They're really awesome. And they're walking around the show. If you want to take a picture with them, I'm sure they'll indulge you, but we really appreciate it, folks. So thank you very much. You all look beautiful, okay? Ferengis included. And warm too. Okay.
Ferengis especially.
Bye-bye. Okay. So here we are united again. It's so great to see all you guys, and what are you, Merv Griffin here? I am Merv, well, that's old school.
That is old school.
Even though he was awesome. You guys look good. You guys look really good, actually. Don't they look fantastic? In no particular order, Armin, first of all, we were just talking about the fact that we're going to be neighbors. You have a wonderful theater project right in my own beautiful Glendale.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I helped run a theater in Los Angeles called Antias. And thank you all for your contributions over the course of the last 2 years. Thanks to your support, we were able to raise $3 million in order to move our company from North Hollywood to Glendale, and we have some of the finest actors in Los Angeles as part of that company, including Rene's daughter and his son-in-law, and about 110 actors, all of which you recognize. Many of them have been on Star Trek. So we are very happy to be in Glendale, and if you're in Los Angeles and you want to see a wonderful play, please come to Antias.
Yeah, wonderful. Good luck. Ira, I mean, it behooves us here on the 50th anniversary to look back at your amazing accomplishment on Deep Space Nine, and I wonder really if you can, just sort of sum up in your own words what you think you accomplished with Deep Space Nine, what you think the strongest underlying theme of the show was, and are you happy with the way it all turned out?
Oh, I think I'm happier than Rene. It turned out. Well, you guys were all applauding Odo kissing Kira. He looked at me like he still hasn't forgiven me for it.
Yeah, I hated kissing her. It was terrible. It was the fact that I had a rubber mask on, and it was like having safe sex.
Safe sex.
And the first thing that happened when they yelled cut was makeup, because everybody's makeup had to be fixed after that.
I mean, to answer the question, I would be insane to say I wasn't proud. We all gave 7 years of our lives to that show, and I know I spent, it seems, every day of those 7 years thinking about it while we were doing it. In terms of what we accomplished, I think we can all agree that that we, for better or worse, we kind of stood out as the odd duck in the franchise. You know, you're not going to confuse a DS9 episode for a Voyager or an Enterprise or even a TNG, except maybe in season 1 when they kept saying, be more like TNG. So I think that was an accomplishment. Actually, we talk a lot about this in this doc that I had mentioned before, this mythical doc that hopefully will be done. And this man over here, Jeff Combs, is actually the man who in one of the conversations actually came up with what DS9 was about as opposed to what the rest of the shows were about. And I can't even say it now because it'll blow the doc. So you're gonna have to watch this mythical doc to find out the real answer to your question. But I think we're all proud of it, and basically, I'm just glad to see all these guys. That's why I come here to, when I come to these conventions, to see these people who I love so much, and I'm so honored to have worked alongside. And you know, it's a beautiful thing that it just keeps getting better. You know, once the work is done and you've achieved or whatever what you've done, and you can look back on it together and it still resonates with people. How freaking lucky are we, and that we're all still here to enjoy it together. So I love them, and I love all you guys. Keep wearing those costumes. You look better and better each year.
I noticed that as I look across our distinguished group of panelists here, that, well, and for me, always Deep Space Nine, ultimately it was about family. They were a ragtag team of people, aliens, different cultures, different political beliefs, different religious beliefs, but they forged together as a family. However, there's one amongst your group who was not part of that family, and that was the notorious Jeffrey Combs.
Well,
You, sir.
I disagree.
You would like to pretend.
I brought nothing but goodwill to Technor. It ran efficiently. I was a pleasant supervisor. There were no problems, as far as I could tell. I don't understand your question, Frank. And, report to the brig.
I love Weyoun because he's one of these kind of phony yes men who's basically an apologist for fascists.
He's the middle management guy who comes from the corporate office and says, I'm merely here to look over how you operate, and you're doing a marvelous job, and I'm going to give you a stellar report when I get
Running
back.
Donald Trump's campaign right now.
That's a stellar
And
report before
then
you.
after I leave, you're fired. Yeah.
Exactly. And the other thing I loved about Weyoun was that you couldn't kill him. He always had another clone ready to come
Well, that was a
back.
mistake, wasn't it? That was a fix of a problem. You want to talk about that, Ira? Well,
So well.
oh, yeah. Emma, so my very first episode, the writers killed me. I was killed. And then what
Seemed
happened?
like a good idea.
It seemed like a good idea.
You know, what did I tell you?
And then what happened?
And then we fixed it. That's right. Wait a second.
Why did we kill that guy?
Why did we kill this character that we could use? And you know, I hated to waste. You know, it's I hated to waste makeup. You know, and you know, one of the amazing things I just have to say is that look at this panel. You know, I mean, you have 3 people here who were in all the photos, you know, the ad campaign, and whose names were in front of each episode. And then we have 2 people here who were not, and we almost had 3 if Jimmy hadn't been called away. What other show in the franchise where you could mix the so-called stars of the show with these recurring characters? I mean, our recurring characters, this is not taking away anything from our main 9 people, but we had such a bullpen, such a bench. It was so strong. It's like no other show in the franchise. So very strong.
Did you get resistance from up above about this? Like, what are you doing? Or were they...
We're not that important, okay? That we had so much resistance about everything else. With you, it was like, oh yeah, he's good. You know, just keep bringing him back. So no, that was not.
Any actor will tell you that you're only as good as the actor you're working with. So to second what Ira is saying, our performances, the series regulars' performances, were made so much better by the recurring characters.
Honestly, the ensemble was so deep, so large, so sprawling. It's a huge testament not only to the writers, but also to the actors that each of your characters was so, in the end, that we all grew to know and love every one of them. So that is really a success on the part of the writers and the actors. Now, Mr. Rene Auberjonois, come on, give him a hand. Looking gorgeous as ever. I love the way you're dressed, by the way.
I dressed like a clown for the day.
I know, listen. I always thought of Odo as the conscience of the station. I mean, he was the constable. He's there to keep the peace. But also, he always followed the path of righteousness, I think. He was the arbiter of, you know, really the way things should be. And he also was a bit of a loner, and it wasn't really until finally he and Kira got together that he could come back into himself. And
I just love it when people describe how they perceive a character that you spent 7 years playing. Because in fact, you know, and it's all wonderful and rich and I think organically true. But when you're acting, when you are within the character, you don't think about that stuff at all. You sort of are you just dealing moment to moment with what these guys throw at you, and you know, and having experienced long runs, whether it's on Broadway or whether it's in a TV show. As jarring as it could be when you would open a script and there would be this curveball that you never expected your character to have to deal with. So it could be kind of nerve-wracking, but in retrospect, or even as it was going, I knew that it was what was keeping it alive and making it worth doing week in and week out, because it just gave you new avenues to explore, and it forced me as an actor working on a role. It just forced me to pay attention in a way that I had not really experienced before. Also, you know, we were dealing with, you know, you don't become, I love it when young people come up to me and ask me how I melted or how I did that stuff, and I would have to say, well, you know, it wasn't really me doing that.
What?
Yeah, no, I know. Jeffrey was... I have no idea what the point I was going to make, but listen, 7 years of playing one character and having all these different facets of your character developed for you and offered to you was an extraordinary experience, and that's enough of me blowing.
Yeah, I mean the character underwent an unbelievable arc. One of the sad things I took away from the end of the series really was when Odo returned to the source and left Kira, because I just cried over that.
He left me too, you know.
that's what that character's arc was so fantastic. That's part of what made it so dramatic. Now, Cirroc Lofton, everybody. I'm going to out him now. Today is his birthday, so. Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Shran. Happy birthday to you. I loved your character's dramatic arc on the show. I mean, you were a young man, and you're still a young man. You were a young man when you came on that show, and we all watched you grow up on the show and go from being sort of a child, a defenseless child, to a dynamic young man who could really hold his own. And not only do we love that arc, but we particularly loved the father and son relationship between you and Sisko. I love to see the love between the father and the son, and Avery was such a master because Avery does love you, Cirroc, and you love him. And that's right there on the camera for everybody to see. So I'd love for you to just kind of reflect on your character's arc as you grew on the show, yourself, and also that wonderful bond that you and Avery have and that Jake and Ben had.
Yeah, well, as far as the arc, you know, it's just part of the growth. You know, being the youngest guy on the set with so many talented guys, people who have already been established and have these great careers and have such well training. For me, it was an opportunity to learn and soak in as much information as I can. And nobody did a better job of instructing me than Avery during those times and those moments. He didn't hesitate to really talk things out with me, explain things out with me, open my mind, my perspective on what we were doing in a broader sense. And you know, as I spent more time with him and got to know him better, our relationship just continued to grow. And we got closer and closer, and he became more of a father figure towards me as the seasons rolled on. But I am happy with the story arc because I felt like I was able to do a little bit more different things than some of the other characters were able to do. I got into a lot more trouble. I got to play more of a kind of a regular average kid. And the growth of that, going into the writer, going into journalism, I thought was really well done. And I'm actually thankful that the art moved in that direction. I think it allowed me to be this kind of outside observer of the events that were happening. And also you get to see Jake in his maturation process as he starts to find himself and discover what he wants to do. But yeah, Avery has been instrumental for my development, growth. And I know a lot of you have come to me and said, you know, how's Avery doing? You miss him. And I'm going to send the love to him. And I'm sure he has the love for everyone here. So I just want you to know that he's okay and he loves you.
And we miss him.
Yeah!
You know, Ira, here we go again. Another sense of loss at the end of the show. The emissary moves on into spiritual planes or extra-dimensional planes, and essentially kind of orphans Jake. But it's okay because that's the amazing power of how the series ended, is that there's a sense of gain and there's a lot of sense of loss as well. And that's intentional, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, someone was asking me today still, the question that won't die, you know, will there be a DS9 movie? I mean, I love the thought behind it, but even at the time, we knew that wasn't going to happen. I mean, it just was not going to happen, business reasons, whatever. But that gave us the opportunity not to have to worry about, you know, where the show is going to go in another iteration. We didn't need to leave anything left on the table. It was our chance to end, if it was indeed the end, which we knew it was, except for novels or whatever, we were gonna just go the distance and end it as best we could. And, you know, I think that last image of Jake and Kira
Looking out the window, right?
looking out the window was, you know, there's so much going on in that, you know, that tableau. Hope, sadness, you know, questioning the future, and it just seemed like the perfect way to end the series. And then obviously the station's still there, but, you know, the station isn't leaving us, we're leaving the station. You know, the station's still there, it's just getting smaller and smaller as we pull back. I have to say, you know, as sad, and everyone will tell you, I certainly felt the end of the show emotionally. It felt good that if we had to go out, that's the way to go out.
Yeah, I mean, dramatically, it's beautiful.
Could I just interject? Like, a lot of people that I've met this weekend, not a lot, but a number of people have said, "Oh, I'm in the middle. I'm 5 episodes from the end." I just hope we're not dumping a bunch of spoilers on people. Oh, I didn't want to interrupt you.
We have.
And I said that.
We have to hope that most of them have
Okay,
seen
good.
it. The other thing I want to say is that last episode with the way you look tonight montage, moving through the characters and the spaces on DS9. Again, there wasn't a dry eye in the house after that. That was absolutely beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time.
Well, when Nana burst into tears, literally burst into tears as Jimmy was standing in front of her singing about the way you wrinkle your nose, and she just lost it on the set. It was so spontaneous, it was so real, you know, it was a beautiful thing.
It's how we all felt.
Yeah.
We all felt that way.
20 years later, and I still feel how I felt at that moment. And it was a good thing. Those were cathartic tears, you know, and you know, I'm sure if she was here now when we were talking about it, she'd probably well up a little bit.
That's right, we'd all start to cry again. Mr. Andy Robinson over there. Sitting quietly looking good as ever. For me, Garak was always the cipher. He was the enigma. You never knew really who, I mean, you kind of figured his loyalties were on the side of the family, but you never quite knew for sure, and that's part of what we love about the character and the way you played him.
Well, I think, thank you. But it's the writing, you know. It's you go only as far as the writing takes you. Yeah, I'm a brilliant actor. There's no question. I'm only as brilliant as any given text is going to allow me to be.
And you're so modest.
And I'm modest, yeah, I'm modest, you know, absolutely. And I'm also, you know, 39 years old, so I mean, what can go wrong with me? No, honestly, I'm glad I was here. You have as a worker in any field, you have turning points, and there are major turning points. And when they hired me to play Garak, because I was up for the role of Odo, as many of you know.
Did not know that.
Yeah, you,
How did I get it?
Garrett, Graham, and myself. Isn't that correct? Yeah. And the right guy got Odo. And
Well,
then when they,
glad I didn't know that. That would have
and then when they called me to come up and read for this guy Garak, I didn't want to go back. because I thought, well, you know, fuck Matt Clark. Hell with that. Offer me the role. Like I went back 3 times for this, you know, for this flat-faced guy. So, and Irene said, you know, please, come on, we have bills to pay here. Just get off your horse and get in the car and go there. So I did, and it was like, if I hadn't gone, I mean, well, anyway, that's another story. And it's hypothetical and science fiction. But it did change my life. Totally changed my life, and it made me understand what writing for... See, I was a bit of a snob about television, and I think I was a bit of a snob only because I'd done so much bad television. Really, a lot of bad television, especially in the 70s. And I got to the point where I'd pick up a script and kind of learn the lines, and if anybody gave me any crap about it, I would, you know, basically, I would never work for them again, of course. But then it was, then they came up with this character that was layered, and not a cipher, who had colors and textures, and basically who was out for himself. Of course he was out for himself, and that's why we loved him. He was always taking care of himself. And then when he would step outside with acts of generosity or acts of intimacy or whatever, that was sort of like, oh, you're that too. I mean, it was changed. You know, this character, I had to write a goddamn book to get this character out of my system. Honestly. And yeah, this was a great thing, and thank you, Ira.
Well, I just have to say that I got to give a shout out to a man who I wish was here, Peter Allen Fields, who does not get a lot of attention. Or enough attention. Pete is the man who originally created the character of Garak, and yes, Andy made him live, and we all then went and ran with it for years, and after Pete was gone from the show. But the thing I remember is from the beginning, Pete had plain, simple Garak. You know, that's how you describe yourself, just plain, simple Garak, correct? That was the thing. And, you know, again, with any act of creation, I don't think Peter, it's not like he came to me and said, okay, that's it, I just did something really good, you know, and you're going to love it. You never know. But from that, those few words, our imaginations just got stirred by that, and this character was created. So shout out to Peter Allen Fields, who made you what you are today.
Well, no, every time I picked up a script, and I knew that these guys loved writing Garak. You could tell. I mean, the bon mots, you know, the punchlines. I mean, the diction, all that locution came from the writing.
Just a tailor, a humble tailor, but no, Andy, you sell yourself short, and you were magnificent as the character. Yeah. So, I know time is getting away from us, but I must indeed address Mr. Armin Shimerman. Quark, also another character that on the surface appears to be entirely out for himself. He's got a successful business to manage there, and he's a Ferengi, and they have their own set of honor system and their own kind of rules. You've got a brother that you were kind of pushing under your thumb. I mean, I guess you loved your brother, but you were also kind of subjugating him. And you always were looking out for yourself. But were you really? Because even with those wonderful cat and mouse fights with Odo, which I want to acknowledge the great relationship between Odo and Quark. You know, Quark is lovable, and there is a redeemable, heroic side of him underneath all that. Love the way you were able to push that through the character over the course of the series.
Thank you. As has been said before, You start with the writing. I had several writers, Ira being the foremost, who loved the Ferengi. And if anyone loved the Ferengi, it was Ira Stephen Behr. And that was obvious in the writing. And as you've heard before, you can only do what's on the script. You can improve upon it. You can massage it. You can interpret it. But you can't make it up. And it starts with the writing. And the writers, the Ferengi started off in a bad place on Next Generation. Yeah. I take full responsibility for that. And it was my unstated goal throughout the 7 years to resurrect the Ferengi, to give them the sort of three-dimensionality that perhaps the Klingons had, that other species had. And if I achieved that, I attribute it first to the writing, and second, to the great character actors that I worked with. They, without Max, without Aaron, without Jeff, without Wallace, without, oh God, just gone blank, I'm getting old.
Andrea Mitchell, Andrea Martin.
Right. Without all my moogies. Cecily. There's Cecily. Cecily. Please, just a thought for a second for Cecily Adams. Thanks to them, thanks to Ira, thanks to the writing staff, thanks to the directors who allowed me to do what I wanted to do and to interpret Ira's writing as best I could. Thanks to Rene, who also made that possible. Thanks to everyone on the show. I did not do anything by myself. It was a family. We collaborated, and my work is a result of that collaboration.
Well said, thank you. Okay. I know how tight we are on time. You can have one word to describe the 50th anniversary of Star Trek. In one word, each of you. One word.
Gratitude.
Vision.
Long.
Progressive.
Makeup.
That was mine. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We're not over, but thank you for your time. It's an honor with all of you guys. It really is. We have just a very, very short amount of time, but we're going to take a few questions, and we'll get started right over here, please.
This question's for Ira. I would like to know why Benjamin Sisko was not a captain at the beginning of Deep Space Nine.
Question we'd all like to know. Well, mistakes are made. Originally, just to defend everyone, Sisko was supposed to be in his early 30s. He was supposed to be young and somewhat callow. Okay, Commander. Then, when the smoke cleared, Avery Brooks is Benjamin Sisko. So you think, okay, why not then adapt the character to the actor, which is something that Star Trek has always had a little bit slow on the uptake. It takes us time. We eventually get there, but we waste a lot of time in between. We were fighting, the writing staff was fighting to make him a captain almost immediately. Pete Fields and I, as soon as Avery got cast, we said, uh-oh, we're in trouble. This isn't going to work. Because to all of these people, all of us, not just the fans, the Star Trek hero is a captain. So right away, not only don't we have a spaceship as the as the lead character, but we don't have a captain. What the hell is wrong with this picture? So unfortunately, It took a while, but we finally got there. You know, we finally got him to be a captain. So that's the answer.
Right. Yes, very quickly, very short on time.
My question is for Jeffrey Combs. Okay.
Yes, hi.
Given your history with, of course, the H.P. Lovecraft work, you famously played a lot of characters who are very morally grey and have a lot of difficulty relating to other human beings, which results in a lot of loneliness and a kind of self-induced isolation. How would you describe the transition from playing these human characters that are isolated and alienated from humanity to playing actual aliens out in space?
Good question.
In 2 words, Jeff.
Yeah, 2 words. Listen, characters are characters, whether they're in makeup or not. Our job is to bring them alive within the script that we have. And so I don't really differentiate. They're just different styles and different genres. My job is just to bring the character to life as best as I possibly can under the circumstances. So, listen, Andy had it right. Deep Space Nine was life-changing for me, and it freed me up, and it gave me a family that I didn't have before.
I'll just second that you did some brilliant work with Stuart Gordon. Had actually a great run with him. And,
Yes.
we respect that catalog. It's fantastic. Yes, over here.
Thank you.
My question is for Jeffrey. What made Weyoun such a likable character?
Well, yes, because he is really a pleasant person. And that's why you love him so much. And I think everyone else on the ship loved him as well. You see? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, I'm Daniel from the Netherlands, just to meet you guys. And I was kind of wondering, did any of you start to live in your trailer because of the extensive makeup? And even for Ira, did you start to live in your trailer because of the extensive producing?
It's about the makeup. What about the makeup?
So did any of you start to live in your trailer because of the extensive makeup? You wouldn't have time to go back home, grab a bite, sleep.
Oh, do you live in the trailer?
Yeah.
Because of the makeup.
Only during the shooting day. I mean, we couldn't go to the commissary and eat. We were kind of isolated during the day, but hell no, at the end of the day, get this shit off me.
But Armin used to drive around in his car, you know, as Quark. It upped the ratings, too.
That was only once.
That's your answer. All right. Thank you.
I would still like to say that please, do me a favor, please contact your agent to call the agent of Brian Fuller to tell him over lunch that the network should say, well, let's do Ira because I think we like his edge.
Yeah.
Yes. Brian Fuller should incorporate every character from Deep Space Nine on Star Trek Discovery. That's right. Yes.
Hi, one thing I noticed about Deep Space Nine is kind of a bit of a culinary show. Lots of interesting food and drink on this show. It was a shame to hear that Casey hated the Canar. I was wondering if there's anything that y'all had to eat or drink that was interesting or horrible that may have looked good on the show.
There was one scene once, and I don't remember which episode it was from, but we were sitting around a table and the prop department brought us something that was just disgusting. And I can't even describe to you what it was. And one of us, the script didn't designate who had to eat it. I feel really badly about what I'm about to say. So I looked at Max and said, you eat it. And he did.
And I love the fact that that Casey had to suffer with that corn syrup. I really do.
It wasn't just corn syrup, it was also prune juice. Canar was prune juice and corn syrup.
As long as he suffered, that's all I care.
That's why you get them on.
You can tell him that tonight.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Hi everyone. First, I want to thank you for making this one of the greatest shows ever in TV history. And my question is for
Mr. Behr, and your description of the last scene just made me into tears again. And my question is also related to the last episode. So the last episode of Deep Space Nine is very different from most of the other shows. So most of the other endings are more focus on unity or reunity, like the last scene of The Next Generation when Picard finally joined the card table. But in Deep Space Nine, at the end, the people they're separated and departed. It's kind of sad, but it also have this realistic taste, like in real life, like we come here together because of Star Trek, and after tonight we'll all leave and be separated again. And so I would like to know, so how this idea, this ending come out? Is that decided at the very beginning, or it just come naturally out through the process? Thank you.
Ira, you got that? Yeah. Great question. Great question. Yeah, great.
You know, I think it's just the way we looked at the show. You know, life is hellos and goodbyes and intense relationships. And, you know, we were all feeling that this thing was coming to an end, that you could not just walk down to the set and see, you know, your friends down at the set. You could not, you know, come in each day and check in with casting or whatever. It was coming to an end, and we felt that strongly, and it just felt like the show should represent what we were going through. And it just seemed like to keep everyone on the station and everything just business as usual. It seemed like a weak ending, and so we just decided to go what we felt was a truthful, painful, sweet, funny ending. You know, the Quark, Odo, you know, goodbye or lack of goodbye was really touching. Bashir and all of it. It was, that's the way we rolled, and I stand by it, and I think it worked. Thank you.
It does work, and also, what a great metaphor to the convention. We all gathered together, and then it's sad when we all, at the end of this, so we're all going to leave and we're going to come apart, and that actually is like what life is, so that is sad. So great question and point. Okay, yes sir.
Yeah, I didn't really have, well, I have a question, but we don't have time for it. I just wanted to say to all the actors here, I've been watching Star Trek since 74 or 5. I've seen it all, and the cast and crew, I got to tell Ira and Rene this yesterday, but the cast on Deep Space Nine, I love all of Star Trek, but this cast, the quality of actors as a whole was heads and shoulders above everybody else. And you guys should be very proud of what you did. I love Deep Space Nine. All of you did an outstanding job, whether you were on it for a few seasons or the whole thing. So thank you very much. If stuck on a desert island, it would be Deep Space Nine that would go with me.
Once again, prematurely cut. At least we don't have to say that about the series itself. It ran its 7 years, and it was a blessing for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in saluting